I wasn't in the hostile business. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, and so when that was making a lot of money, I rode it till the wheels fell off. Now I ride something else till the wheels fall off, and that's going to be the key for people's success. You know, it's no longer just chasing a dream. It's really being market centric and looking where the opportunities are locally and abroad, and figuring out how to put in as little as possible and maximize the cash flow for as long as possible. You know, and as soon as it starts to decline, already be forward thinking and looking for something else to jump into that's going to, you know, give you that type of cash flow for a significant amount of time. Let it go, find the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, you know.
Okay, you mentioned about dreams, because
Yes.
I know a lot of people have a lot of dreams, and we spoke earlier that some dreams are not workable, or it may not be for that particular person. What is your take on people pursuing something that may not be for them?
Well, it's a two-part answer.
Okay.
And I think part of it has to go back when in the other segment we talked about being market-centric.
Okay.
And people paying for what they want. And if you're market-centric and you have your ear to the pulse of the market will tell you what it's willing to pay for. And so any type of information we get, whether we're watching the media, we're listening to people, we're twittering or tweeting, whatever it is, we're gathering information on problems and opportunities. Every problem is not worth solving because it's not cost-effective enough to solve.
Okay.
For instance, you've heard people say, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door, right? And people say that, but when you really examine even that, a piece of paper with glue on it is about as inexpensive, right, as you can get, and it's effective. A piece of wood with a little spring trap is effective and cheap, so why would somebody pay more when that works well enough?
Thank you.
And so it doesn't make sense to try to reinvent the mousetrap. And so every problem is not worth exploiting because the return is not going to get you what you want. Every opportunity is not cost effective to solve. And so some people come with these new inventions, some people come with these great ideas. And it's not to say they're not a great idea, but nobody pays for an idea. It's the one who can bring it to the market the way people want it and at the price point people are willing to pay for that makes the money. And so if you have a dream, I tell people all the time, it's not that you don't have to pursue your dream, but make money someplace else so you can enjoy your dream and not worry about living off of it.
Okay.
You see, that's different. You know what I mean? I make enough money so I can do the things I want to do. And like for me, martial arts is something I enjoy doing. I have a martial arts school, but I don't rely on that to eat because I'm not willing to change the martial arts to meet the way the market wants it.
Okay.
I don't want to just give away belts. I don't want to do all these flips and cartwheels and all this fancy stuff. I want to do it the way I want to do it. So I make my money here. I have a school. Those who want to be there are there, but I'm not trying to live off of it.
Okay.
You know, so you can pursue your dream, but don't think you're going to live off of it because when you pursue your dream, you get emotionally attached, and then you lose that objectivity, which is necessary to be able to innovate it to meet the market wants.
Okay. Well, that was excellent, and I would like for you to speak a little more about bankruptcy, because we mentioned that off camera.
We did.
And on the last part two, I mentioned in the 90s, I had to file bankruptcy because I was an overconsumer, big time. So, and I know there's a lot more out there, but I learned my lesson. I'm very conscious of how I spend my money, how I use my credit card, and it's not about what do I want. It's about what do I need, what value do this really have.
Yeah.
So let's...
Well, you know, we talked again in earlier segments about repositioning yourself. And bankruptcy is really a strategy used by the wealthy, used by major corporations to reposition themselves, to be able to start all over. And unfortunately, a lot of times we have this stigma attached to it, you know, as if it's something negative. Donald Trump just went into bankruptcy with all his casinos. And it's not the first time. He's done it. He filed bankruptcy.
Wow.
GM filed bankruptcy. All these big major corporations have filed bankruptcy so that they can reorganize and start all over. It's a method for you to reorganize and start all over. It's twofold. You mentioned, though, also you have to be disciplined. It's not a means for you to be undisciplined and say, I'll just file bankruptcy.
Thank you.
It's really an opportunity for you to reorganize what you did, examine the mistakes that you've made,
Yes.
and give you a fresh start so that you can do something new and different as a result of it. You know, so we shouldn't be afraid of bankruptcy. We shouldn't be afraid of there's a new concept called strategic default. And strategic default means that you look at every business deal you made. When I say business deal, I mean your credit cards, that was a business deal that you made with a company. Your mortgage, that was a business deal that you made with a bank. You re-examine every deal that you got yourself into, and if it's a bad deal, you get yourself out of it. Meaning that if the property is not worth what you're paying for it, and you have a 30-year mortgage, and you're going to end up paying 10, 20, 30 times what it's worth, it doesn't make sense to continue paying for it necessarily. If it's not where you live, because you got to pay for where you live, but if it's a rental property, then again, you maximize the cash flow. You stop paying it, and again, people have a moral dilemma, but if you think like a business person, you entered into a business contract with the bank. The bank said, I'll lend you this money secured by this piece of property. If for any reason you don't pay me, I'm going to take that piece of property. If you couldn't pay because you didn't have it, they would take it. They didn't say if you don't pay, even if you have it, we won't take it. They said if you don't pay for any reason, we'll take the property. So if it doesn't make sense to continue paying, let them have the property, but there's due process. There's a process in the judicial system where they have to go through steps before they can seize the building.
Okay.
That can be delayed 1, 2, 3, 4 years before they actually seize the property to sell at auction.
Okay.
In the meantime, you're maximizing the cash flow from the rental income.
Okay.
It's a way to strategically put some money in your pocket and then give them the asset that you secured the loan with. It's perfectly legal and it's a business decision. But we have to shift the way we think to think business-minded. Same thing with your credit cards. You made a business deal with your credit card company that they would forward you some money so that you can make purchases and you would pay them back. Most of the credit cards have run the biggest hustle on people because if you missed a payment, you saw an increase in your interest up to 28, 30% sometimes when you may have gotten a card at 9, 10, 11%. Not only did they do that, they capped your credit limit. And every time you pay off some more, they lower the credit limit. So you can't use it again, but they're charging you enormous amounts of interest. Strategic default would say, it's a business decision, I'm not going to pay this anymore. It doesn't make sense because it's going to take me forever. You're accumulating all this interest, you're collecting all this interest, and I'm not getting benefit of it anymore, I'm not paying. So they'll say, well, we'll ruin your credit. Your credit's already messed up and you can't borrow anyway.